Hi, Cynthia. Hi, Sarah.
Hi guys, how are you?
Hi, Kurt.
Living the dream.
Yes, aren't we all?
Last time you drank salt. Well, back when I tried casing, we just made the horse and buggy got the board on top, which isn't useful right now. Unuseful, but not people say about harmless old age. Oops, I need my glasses. It's useful. Nobody sees us. It's me. Yeah, Brenda. I recognize it. Hey, just took a second. Where did you come from, Madeline?
Miss Haynes, is that you as H? Hi, Bruce. We're just waiting for Miss Haynes.
Okay.
You? Really?
Yeah, you got a problem with that?
It's Halloween. Your giant candies.
You have a point.
Run for your life!
Bruce, Miss Haynes is joining right now.
Great.
Miss Haynes, can you hear us? I think you're muted.
Yes, I was in transit and the highway was no friend of mine this evening.
I'm glad you made it.
Thank you. Sorry to be late.
Bruce, if you're okay, we can go ahead and call to order. We've got a quorum.
Yep. And if you, if you want to run the agenda, I'd appreciate that.
Yes, sir. You betcha. So first is just a roll call of the board of directors. So Director Scheibels,
Present?
Director Barclay,
Present.
Director Kennedy. I know he's on.
He's
Louis, you're muted.
Okay, sorry about that. Yes, present.
No worries. Thank you, sir. And Miss Haynes.
Present.
Outstanding. Yes, sir. You do have a quorum. Let's see here. So first order is to review and approve the agenda that was sent out and it was posted to the website at least 24 hours prior to tonight's meeting. If there's, Bruce, I know you wanted to remove one item off of the agenda.
Yeah, we're going to remove item 7 because the we did not get the materials regarding that capital improvement project landscaping, but because it's going to be a project that will be would be started and undertaken in the spring, we can handle that at our regular meeting in December. Or if we happen to have a special meeting in November, we would get the materials and the specifics before the November meeting, but definitely we can do that in December. So we can take that off or postpone it. So we will not be doing anything for item number 7 on the agenda.
Okay. Thank you. Anything else from you or the other directors?
I have an announcement regarding item number 5, but I can talk about that before we start that item.
All right, sir.
I have a question about number 6. This is Cynthia. I didn't get my an exhaustive list for my exhibits. Were they put in from Glory somewhere that I didn't see them? On the agreements? Contracts and the map and exhibits. So this is exhibit A, B, and C. So where would those be? Maybe I missed them somewhere, but it says that the inexhaustive list of contracts are attached hereto as exhibit B.
Hi, Cynthia. Yeah, we do not have an inexhaustive list yet, so those exhibits will be supplemented as soon as we begin receiving more documents from Town Center Metropolitan District's attorney. So we did not include any of those exhibits, but rather just the draft agreements, if that helps clarify things.
So it's difficult to agree then because I don't have all the documentation. Okay. So I guess we'll review that. It can stay reviewed and then we'll just talk about it.
Cynthia, this is Evan. We did at the last meeting provide the list of agreements that we had. So it's a pretty solid list. It has many items on it. So we did provide that at the last meeting. So I don't know, maybe Glory can help me remember, but I don't think we added anything to that list since the September meeting, have we?
We haven't added anything to the list, but more documents and contracts are being added from Lisa Mayers with Spencer Fain. So that was a very complete list, but she has been providing a few additional documents.
Are we talking about the consolidation information or are we talking about the district manager? Because Cynthia was talking about item 6, which is review and consider selection of the district manager. And I know all of the RFP information was provided to the, and so I'm Cynthia, which one are you talking about?
I confused you and myself. So it's a consolidation papers. Sorry, Bruce.
Okay. The consolidation stuff, I agree. We don't have we're still looking for all of the agreements that we have there and that stuff. I know we'll discuss some of that in the executive session tonight.
Okay.
But yes, we still have that information that we're still trying to track all of that down, but we're also including a lot of that stuff as part of the consolidation agreement that is one of the resolutions that we're potentially taking up tonight as well.
Okay.
There's a lot of papers in the board package.
Any other items for the agenda? If there's none other, Bruce, if you want to make that motion to accept the agenda as amended by removing item 7?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. It's been moved and seconded. Is there anyone opposed? Thank you very much. Next is correspondence. I have no correspondence. So, council, any correspondence from you for the board?
I'm searching for it. Sorry, Kurt. No, we have none to bring forward tonight.
Okay. And from the directors, anybody have any correspondence that you may have received that you'd like to present?
Opportunity directly to emphasize their humanity and the roles they play in their communities.
Can we mute the?
I'm sorry.
Audience?
Yeah, I'm looking.
Can we please mute the audience? There's some background media playing.
Black men as in
I'm looking for that now. Here we go. Okay.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. You betcha. So next item then is public comment. The board and the district staff truly value the public's input, and what I would ask is to please keep your comments restricted to the topics of the district and its business, and keep your comments to no longer than 3 minutes. If you have public comment, if you would please raise your hand and then I can call on you. Ms. Turner.
Hello there. I guess really, I don't know that it's a comment. I think it's a request. If there is someone on this committee, on this call that can give me an opportunity or some time to really try to understand what this board does and what Westwind does, if anybody knows. Because I've lived here for a little over 2 years. I have no idea what I'm paying for. I have no idea what I'm getting or why. I came from a community that was a part of Denver City and County, just like this community is. We had green spaces, we had open spaces, we had all the same things there that we have here. We did not have an HOA, or since I was told the last time, this isn't an HOA, so I don't really know what it is. But you know, like I said, I've lived here over 2 years now. I have no idea what this board does, what you're in charge of, what you're not in charge of. I don't know what Westwind does other than tell us what we can and cannot do. So I just need a little clarity on what is it that I'm paying for? What am I getting? And why? Why do we have you? Why do we have Westwind? Why do we have any of this? Because after living in a community and owning several homes in Denver City and County, in probably one of the wealthiest neighborhoods there were, down Montview and Monaco Boulevard and 17th Avenue, we managed just fine. And I can't figure out for the life of me, what am I getting differently here and what's the purpose? So I realize that this meeting is not for that purpose, but I've been to several meetings and all I ever hear about is open space and trees and landscaping, and it's really annoying, and it doesn't seem to really give me anything for my buck. So if there's somebody that can do that, I will put my email in the chat. And I thought it was really funny when you guys posted that you needed another board member, and I thought, who the hell knows what a board member does or what they don't do and what it's for. So if somebody can explain that to me, because the paperwork that you get when you buy a house does not. It basically tells you what you can and cannot do with your property. It doesn't tell you a whole lot of anything else. So I will put my information in the chat, and if somebody can contact me, I'll be more than happy to meet somewhere or to have another Zoom call or do whatever is necessary so that I can better understand and feel better about living in this community, because that is not the case right now. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. And directors, I'll get a hold of her after the meeting and answer any questions I can. Let's see, Miss Santangelo.
Oh, you said it right. Thank you. Honestly, this is my first meeting, which is embarrassing. I've lived here for 7 years now in the carriage home collection. I'm most interested, just wanted to throw out there, I'm most interested in items 9 and 10 on this agenda. And 7, except you struck that at the beginning.
Yeah.
But 9 and 10, I actually pay into 3 special metro districts. You're one of them. I'm just really trying to understand when I may stop paying into some of these. Because they do suck. I mean, they take up quite a bit of my property tax mills. So that's it.
Thank you. Any other public comment? Any other public comment? Okay, thank you very much. We can move on to new business then. Bruce, you said you had something you wanted to talk about item number 5?
Yes, Mr. David Porticha, one of the candidates for the open board vacancy, he had sent an email to Kurt indicating that because of a job requirement, he was not going to be able to be at this meeting tonight. And I called him last night to discuss, whether was there any way he could, get away for a short time period from his job, duties, and to, make his presentation and stick around for the vote to see if he was going to be, because our intent is to listen to the board, the candidates who expressed interest, and then have our vote. And then assuming that one of the candidates does get 3 members of the existing 4 members to say to vote yes, then we're going to have a short recess and go through the process to get them officially board member, because we have our designated election official, Sarah, with us. And we're going to, send the documents to her, and then she's going to file them with the court and DOLA, so that the new person is officially a member of the board and then can participate as a voting board member the rest of the night. Now, whether they feel they're sufficiently educated to make decisions later, or they're just going to abstain, but at least we'd be a 5-member board. After having that discussion with Mr. Porticha, he informed me that he is going to withdraw his interest and candidacy, at least at this time. He knows there's a potential of a board vacancy, and he also may put his hat into the ring, because we are going to have an election next May. So anyway, he does live in the enclave now, although his in the board packet, his CV still has his address down in the southwest section, which is west of Tower Road, but it is part of the debt and services section of Ebert. So he is a valid elector. But anyway, he wanted me to share that he is withdrawing. So there are only 3 candidates who are going to be for consideration, although I hope that Ms. Etta is here. I'm not sure if I saw her, or unless she's the person who is a phone number and participating here tonight, but I didn't see her name here. But anyway, so we only have 3 candidates who will be presenting tonight before the board, and we have interview. So the process will be, and we'll just do it by alphabetically. So it's in no order of preference. I'm just going to go alphabetically by last name, and we'll ask each of the candidates to talk to us for 3 minutes, and then if any of the board members have any questions after each candidate has talked for their 3 minutes, and then we'll we'll then hear the next person, and when all 3 are done, then the board, I guess we entertain motion for a candidate, and it would be a motion to appoint a person. And then we just do that based on simple motion. If there's a second, then we'd have a vote, and it would be 3.
Yes, sir.
If I could just inject one follow-up comment there. The reason, and this is for the general public's understanding, the reason we're going to go into an executive session and push whatever the selected candidate is forward is we have a lot of things to get done between now and the early part of 2025. And the normal process takes weeks. to get these candidates fully capable of being a board member. We experienced that at one time in the past. We don't want to have that happen right at this time because we need as many candidates as we can have on our board to get these decisions made.
Thank you, sir. Bruce, if you want me to go ahead and start the order?
Yes.
Okay, Ms. Curtis, are you with us tonight? And the iPhone just dropped off and then came back on, so I'll ask
Okay.
when she gets back on.
Okay, I'm back on.
Ms. Curtis?
Yes, I'm back on.
Yes, ma'am.
How are you all?
Good.
Good.
So you have the floor, Ms. Curtis, for 3 minutes, and then we may have some questions.
Okay, I'm Marietta Curtis, and I've been in this neighborhood since 2001. We built a house here, and I've been here for 24 years. I was a member over at Green Valley Golf Course when we had members, and I had a locker there. So I've been here in this community for a while. I love the community, and I can see the changes, and I can see that it's growing, and I like to be a part of this community to make it grow and be better. I like the versatility that we have, and I like the diversity of the community. So anything that can be done, I'll be willing to help do it. I'm a notary and I'm a former nurse, and I work for the Marbella Organizing Committee as a human resource manager. So I know how to manage people and do things that need to be done for not only the community, but for the Denver in itself. So if there's any questions that you have, feel free to ask.
I have a question. Have you had the opportunity to look at any of the current issues that have been going on, particularly with regard to the transition process that we've been working on in the last couple of months?
Yes. Yes.
And have you looked specifically at, for example, the information on the website concerning the change in district managers and the idea of consolidating the Ebert and Town Center districts?
Yes, I looked and I read that because when I arrived, it was just the town center by itself. So yes, I've been watching and following Green Valley, Ebert, and our community, for a while.
Do you have any background in working with budgets?
Yes, I at this point in time and stage, I do the books for my Marbella Organizing Committee. The bookkeeper there. I've been doing the book since 2018.
Does anyone else on the board have some questions for Ms. Curtis?
Yes, this is Lewis Kennedy. Ms. Curtis, thank you for being a candidate. One of the problems we've had in the past is getting people interested in being on the board, and getting our seats filled has been a challenge. So I really appreciate you bringing yourself forward as a candidate. There's two aspects about your resume or the information that you provided. I'd like you to just reflect on and tell us a little bit about it. There's an organization called Just Good Friends that you're involved in, according to your resume. And then you have your MSN from Michigan State University. Could you tell me a little bit about those two experiences and how they helped form you?
Okay, Just Good Friends started out, as just a neighborhood community, and then we had friends all over the country that we said, let's start a group, and it's a group just for women. We all do things, we volunteer, and we give up our time. This is just for us, for women across the country to get together. I was a treasurer for that as well. And we traveled across the country wherever the convention was, like to Birmingham, to Alabama, to Greensville, just to come. It was like 150 of us just getting together once a month, and every 3 years all together. across, no matter what, it could be Denver, it could be South Carolina, but we all came together because we did our own charities in our own communities. I lived in Michigan. I went to Michigan State and I have a Bachelor of Science in Nursing, and I worked 5 years at Pontiac Osteopathic Hospital in Michigan. And then I transitioned, went back to and got a degree in merchandising and marketing. And that's when I started working for Neiman Marcus as a buyer. Worked for them for 15 years as a buyer.
And okay, great. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Does anyone else have any questions for Ms. Curtis?
I do, if I may. Ms. Curtis, can you tell us a little bit about any negotiating skills that you may have, as we are looking to consolidate two large organizations? A lot of the negotiations and the legalese has happened, but I foresee that there may be some rough edges. How do you deal with conflict? Tell me a little bit about what your tips or techniques might be.
Well, first of all, I listen to both sides and I see what direction we need to go in. If I can do something to make it better on each side and help, I would like to be the facilitator to do it with kind and gentleness. I know there's a lot of people that have rough edges, but I'm sure in a positively way, I can get them to see whatever side that we need to do and what direction we need to go in, Ms. Haynes.
Thank you.
I do have one more follow-up question. It has to do with the fact that you built your home in an area you refer to as foxtails. Could you shed some light on foxtails and what your experience has been in terms of the way that your property has been, I don't know, managed over not yours in particular, but the areas around you, the common areas, and how they've been maintained?
Our particular area has been maintained, but when I do come in off of Jabel, I can see there's a difference. It hasn't been maintained like it has the past 5 years. And I'm sure that's the changing people moving in and out of the community. But since I built on this particular block on 49th, it's been a real steady neighborhood. People have moved out because they got jobs in different cities. And I like the way things have been maintained. I remember when I first moved in, I had a dead tree because that's when the landscaper and the company put the tree in and it died. But you can't take a dead tree out in the summertime. And I got a little warning about that, but that was nothing. But you can't plant a tree in the summer. So when the fall came, I did do the tree. So I think everything here has been really well maintained. It's just it's some things and areas I like to see to improve. I like to have a hands-on to help one improve their property.
Thank you very much.
No matter how many people you kill, she's gonna grow up, Joel. When you die, she'll leave.
Mr. Coates, Curtis Coates, we can hear you.
Yes.
I just muted him. Any other questions for Ms. Curtis? Thank you, Ms. Curtis.
Thank you.
Next is Mr. Keith Mays.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening, Mr. Mays.
Good evening.
Thank you. Just real quickly, I have been in public service for over 35 years. Started in the United States Air Force, with the University of Minnesota, with the city and county of Denver for 22 years. And then back in 2021, I was appointed and served on the Ebert Metropolitan District Board until the subsequent election in May of 2022. During that time, I helped revise the former district webpage and organize all of the governing documents and information in a more logical way, and that's been ported over to the current webpage. Been a resident in the district since 2019, and here to help and serve if needed.
So, Mr. Mays, I'm going to ask you the same question I asked Ms. Curtis. Have you had an opportunity to look at and do any research into the transition process that's been going on for the last few months between Town Center and Ebert, and formed any or been able to educate yourself on that process?
Yep, I've looked at some of the documents, but I would not say that it has been in a very in-depth nature. I would definitely need to familiarize myself with it more if appointed. But I am, from a 30,000 foot view, familiar with what is going on.
And have you, what's your experience been, sort of dovetailing with Lewis's last question to Ms. Curtis, with the overall management? Because my understanding, I think you live in one of the bungalows. What's your experience been with the overall management of the district during your time, or with management of of the sub-district during your time living within the district?
My opinion is it has struggled, but in the past year and a half, it has significantly improved. There's still a lot of improvements from an entire district management that could be improved, but specifically for Fairway Villas and bungalows, that has significantly improved in the recent sub-district management tenure. Beyond that, previously, there have been some struggles.
All right. Anyone else have any questions for Mr. Mays?
Yes, this is Lewis Kennedy. Mr. Mays, I do have a question, and it has to do with your experience that was unique in the candidates I'm seeing here. And that is, you've lived in Green Valley Ranch Metro District, which is south of Green Valley Ranch Boulevard, as well as where you live now, which is Green Valley Ranch North, or some people identify it as Ebert Metro District or Town Center. I was wondering if you could kind of do a comparison and a contrast of what your experience has been living north or south of Green Valley Ranch Boulevard.
You bet. When I originally moved into Green Valley Ranch south of 48, it was pretty much in disarray as well. That HOA or district was not very well run, and there were, trying to think of the best way to describe it, but there were legal concerns of how it was being managed, and subsequently individuals were removed, and instead of paying monthly dues, it was transitioned to a mill levy, and new management was brought in, and similar to the sub-district managers we have now in Town Center, things dramatically improved. On a touchy-feely, it's roughly the same, but I think there's more community in Green Valley Ranch North. It's just as big and just as diverse as far as the different properties that are there, but it just seems homier, I guess, of how I would describe that.
Okay, great. Thank you very much.
I have some questions, if I may, if you're all done, Louis.
Yes, I'm done. Thank you.
Thank you. May I proceed, Mr. Chair?
Sure.
Thank you. So, Mr. Mays, do you live in Fairway Villas?
That is correct, yes.
Okay. And can I just ask, since the time that you got off the board, what has been your involvement sort of with eBird or Town Center or with the governance that is going on when you stepped away? How have you kept connected?
I attend almost all of the board meetings that I can. Not able to attend all of them, but as many as I can, I do attend. Town Center has begun meeting in person again, so I've gone to in person there. We're still Zoom here with eBird, even though I know there was discussion of moving back to in person, but there are logistics involved with that as well. But that's primarily how I've been involved. Around and involved in the community, but not from a governance standpoint because I'm not a part of the board.
Well, thank you for that answer. Thank you for your service during the time that you were on the board. I appreciate it.
Yep.
I have a question for Keith. Hi, Keith, this is Cynthia. Would you say the improvement that you've noticed within the district came before or after the lawsuit?
I think it began before the lawsuit and has continued since. I think it has picked up significantly since the lawsuit, but I saw beginnings and movement prior to the lawsuit.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Any other questions for Mr. Mays? Thank you, sir.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Mr. Williams.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Mike Williams, and I appreciate this opportunity for sure to be able to meet with everybody this evening, to meet with this esteemed board. So I was born and raised here in Colorado, again, raised in Montbello specifically. I live right now in one of the larger homes that's here on the north side of Green Valley Ranch Boulevard. And I have a unique view where I get to see MLK school from my third floor. And I went to that school. And so it's cool to be able to be so close to my middle school and see it on a daily basis. When I got out of school from my undergrad, my first house was one that's part of a program that's off of Nepal Street and 56th Avenue, and it's part of that program of low-income housing. So when I got out of school for my bachelor's degree in fire protection engineering from Oklahoma State, I returned back home, and that was 2004. And that house I made just around $38,000 a year, and that was my first job in fire service at Aurora Fire. So that was my first house in low income. It helped me get into a house. I had my first child, and I had such pride at owning my own house beyond just an apartment. My own sense of pride as an African American male. I have much pride in this community. Beyond that, I've got my master's in organizational leadership. I just finished my doctorate in business administration, and that was in August. I actually conferred. So really my pride is in this community. I've been in fire service for now 25 years, but I've been a public servant ever since I was in high school. I was a president of an organization which used to help low-income families deliver turkeys from Thanksgiving to supporting individuals to being a mentor. I think I've been a lifelong learner and a leader. And now that I've everything that I am, I feel as though I owe. And so being a part of this community and my children being a part of this community, my wife, was the executive director at Omar D. Blair that's here. So we are both just really entwined into being a positive part of this community. I've seen both bad and good. I've seen trials and tribulations in this neighborhood, and I've seen efforts and prosperity. So again, I want to be a part of the solution and not just sit back and be able to talk about what I see. I want to be able to bring my skills, knowledge, and abilities back to the community and be able to support and help. So hopefully I can do that. I have spent some time trying to educate myself on some of the history, and I've done a little bit of a deep dive, and I got a notebook in front of me with several pages going back from 1983 when it was First Creek Metro District, which is now Ebert. And so I looked at, understanding bonds and understanding just some of the legal matters that both the town center has gone through with Ebert, and just trying to understand where things are at. I think it's important that I share that the fire department that I'm with right now as an assistant fire marshal is a district. So there's some unique intricacies, being that this is a district as well, and that it is governed by the statute 32. And so there, of course, that's what governs special districts. So as an assistant fire marshal, I do a lot of conversations internally and externally with stakeholders. I was on the board for our DEI within our organization. And so I did negotiate some contracts when it came to signing contracts and getting outside vendors that did some of our internal assessments and did some of our scoring and found some of our gaps to figure out how we can move forward and being able to support individuals within the organization. Beyond that, I've been in a leadership position within fire service for over 10 years. So then just seeking this opportunity to leverage those leadership skills and the ability to foster good relationships within this board, and seeing how I can possibly help out and with good relationships, and help with an aspect of with Ebert being able to help manage and help with operations and managing some of the finances with some of the skills that I've acquired with gaining my doctorate in business administration.
Thank you, Dr. Williams. Can you tell me which fire district are you an assistant fire marshal of?
South Metro Fire Rescue.
South Metro. Okay.
Yes, sir.
That's basically the whole Centennial South area.
Yes, we oversee 13 different municipalities ranging from Douglas County to Arapahoe County. So that district covers those 3 different entities, which makes it very convoluted when, again, trying to deal with different stakeholders, different building departments, different personalities, and being able to support individuals and getting to compliance and aligning with all the applicable and adopted standards and codes.
And when you were on the board of directors for the Society of Fire Protection Engineers, was that a national or a state organization?
It's a national.
Okay. All right. And was that years ago, or was that more recent?
That was, I haven't been on the board as of, I believe that was like 2017 or 18 that my term was up on that board.
And I heard you say that you had taken some time recently to, or I guess since you put your interest in, sent your interest in to educate yourself about some of the history of Ebert, which you're right, started out named First Creek. Have you done anything to educate yourself about the recent efforts to sort of consolidate town center into Ebert and what's going on very recently at all?
Yes, sir. I was able to pull up several of those court documents and read back and forth of the plaintiff and defendants and kind of see some of those intricacies of those dealings. Yes, sir.
And also to sort of bootstrap on what Lewis started out when he first asked Miss Curtis, in the time, I know you've, I guess, lived in a couple different areas, because you first lived up on Nepal. I have a friend who owns one of the houses up in that area. now. But you now live over on, I guess what's the extension of North Dunkirk, that little sort of orphan area of North Dunkirk, is that what it is?
Yes, sir.
What have you noticed in terms of the sort of management of the district in your time living in the Ebert district over the years? What have you experienced? Because there is going to be a change, going forward, or how have you noticed changes over the years?
Sure. Yes, there has been some notable changes over the years. You can definitely see at times there was some. It appears like some notable struggles in lack of or disparate management, and of course, there's a window of complaining versus trying to be a part of the solution, right? So that kind of what brings me to the aspect of wanting to be part of the board and seek to understand and be a part of the solution. I think as of recent, similar to what the gentleman was just speaking to before, was you can see some notable changes. There have been some significant landscaping changes that's happened between trees. And there's been some efforts put into the community for sure. So those are some things that actually give us all a sense of pride when we walk around the block with our kids. We can see those notable changes, so we do appreciate that.
Okay. Anyone else have any questions for Dr. Williams?
I do. Good evening. Thanks for applying. We really appreciate your interest. My name is Cynthia Barkley, and I just wanted to know if you reviewed any of Ebert's covenants controls and what's your opinions on how they are being upheld. You mentioned a little bit about the landscaping, and that's due to many different things right now, but the covenant controls are the packet that you received. And do you see any corrections being made?
So yes, as far as knowing the when we talk about understanding to them to a depth, as an academic person, I try to understand things so I can actually regurgitate them specifically, and that I cannot. But to answer your question, I do understand the aspect of the trees and lawns and weed mitigation and items to that degree. And so I do see some changes, some pretty significant changes as of recent. Again, even if you walk up and down, I believe it's Flanders here, they've replaced all the sod. The aspect of seeing numbers of trees that are dead and seeing those actually replaced, seeing dead grass, that piece of lawn that's between the curb and gutter to the sidewalk, seeing a lot of that alive and seeing that manicured. I've seen a lot of that improved as of recent. So yes, but the the intricacies of the entire document and all those pages, I would need a deeper dive into all those. So I don't know them back of my hand, but I am aware of some of those requirements, and I do see some huge changes, some efforts for sure.
Okay, so that's more about the landscaping and the lawsuit. The covenants that I'm concerned about is there's a lot of misconduct under the rules to live in the area. And do you report anything? Do you see anything like someone's parked their truck there for a week? The RVs are not allowed to be on the street longer than 48 hours, things like that have to do with keeping our neighborhood looking the way that we expect.
So I don't see a lot of those issues in my neighborhood. Like we spoke to, I live on one of those dead end streets here in Burke, and so I don't see a lot of those abandoned cars or RVs parked or semi trucks parked there for a long period of time. So I don't see a lot of that stuff happening. So I appreciate that.
Okay.
I do have some neighbors that we have really close relationships on the dead end block. We look out for each other, and so whenever they have some concerns or whatever, it seems like I know Western Management is not part of Ebert at all, right? That's under that's not managed this portion at all. That's truly under the town center right now, but I know that's all trying to be consolidated, and we're working through that right now. But there's Westwood Management is actively in the neighborhood and taking care of any of those things that are outside of the alignment.
Okay, thank you.
Dr. Williams, first, congratulations. That is no easy task, acquiring a PhD. So I salute you for that. How long have you lived in Green Valley Ranch?
So I've lived in from 2000. So I'm thinking out loud here, so bear with me. I bought my house when I graduated in 2004. Bought my house. I was living in apartments here across the street from King Soopers in 2004. Bought my house in 2005, and I moved out of Green Valley Ranch from 2007 to about 2011 and been back. So we doing the math between 2004 to 11, and then since 16 until now. So putting that together, all in all, without doing the math, I'm still about a decade plus here in Green Valley.
Okay. So thank you. A fairly long tenure. In addition to grass and trees, what else have you observed, if anything, about the community that you love, or that you would like to see changed and then love better?
One of the things that I do appreciate is the aspect of infrastructure. I love the aspect of seeing the safety given to our children that have to cross the street. I'll share a little bit of a passionate, quick story. My daughter, she's 19 years old, and she was crossing the street here at Flanders, and she got hit by a vehicle across the street to a school bus. So the aspect of having enough lights at the right space, having the infrastructure in place of streets, having the right resources out here, a diversity of resources, not just liquor stores, but being able to have things out here that attract people out here, that keep people out here, so we don't have to drive 20 and 30 minutes. Being able to have things for our children, to aspects of education, an aspect of seeing what I like to see come out here is seeing the even though the resort is not, the Gaylord is not necessarily is in Aurora, but seeing things like that starting to come out here, seeing more schools, seeing better schools, seeing places that attract, like I know we have our Home Depots, our Lowe's, our Walmarts, things like that. Seeing additional grocery stores, seeing a Whole Foods, something that's healthier for our community. Those are things are taking the right direction and the right steps for a healthy community. So I am proud of the neighborhood and seeing those things coming in, the infrastructure, and seeing, like, we have the golf course, so being able to attract some of those high-end things are some of the stuff I'm really, really proud to seeing coming out here. Being that where I live at right now was a dirt field, and when I was in middle school, and in my house is here, so I'm proud of all the things that are coming out here, and looking forward to the future and living out here the rest of my life.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
Dr. Williams, this is Lewis Kennedy. I just have one question, but I also want to echo Kadisha's congratulations to you. PhDs are not easy to come by, and you're a dedicated person to put through with that. So congratulations on the brand new accomplishment.
Thank you.
The question I've got, because I have the same questions my fellow board members have had, but they've got those asked. The one that we've been struggling with for years is, I don't know if you can see it on your screen when you bring up the participants in this meeting. The Ebert Metro District is something in the neighborhood of 5,000 households. And we've got 26 souls here who are interested in what we're doing. And my question to you is, how would you expand the Ebert Metro District participation at the board level, or just in the community? Because we've not really done a very good job of that, and we're looking for help there.
That's a great question. And it's multifaceted. I think the conduit to all success is relationship, and that's just that, right? We potentially, and honestly, listen, let me be vulnerable. I'm guilty of it, right? This board potentially currently doesn't reflect all of the diversity of this community, right? And that's not this board's fault. It's just, in the aspect of resources and time, right? There's a number of factors that go into it. Are we reaching out to people and educating individuals on the benefits of partnering with the boards, right? And educating people on some of the things that impact this board, some of the decisions that this board makes, and how simple thing of leadership is you want to make people feel as though you are making decisions and things are happening for them and not to them. And that's a little bit of the energy I got from the other neighbor that spoke earlier, right? What am I paying for? What am I getting? What do you do? Why do you do it? And so giving them a sense of why. So I guess what I would do if I was selected to be on the board was try and again, like I said, me and my wife are ingrained into this neighborhood. Well, me and my wife, she's been in education for decades, right? So when we go to a store, they are always calling her name, right? They know her. So making this board a little bit more, well, it is a public board, it's a government board, right? So how can we get our name out there? How can we do a little bit more of that interface with the public and do a meet and greet or something, right? And that's a drop in the pond, but how can we make things a little bit more consistent and get that message out of what we currently do? And then just leveraging the social networking, and building relationships. A lot of things that South Metro does really, really well is not just lobbying, but just being able to meet with individuals and show them a little bit of what we do, how we do it, and why, and a little bit of the why behind what we're doing and why we're on the boards and what we're fighting for, right? It's again a sense of what I'm thinking that just off the hip.
Dr. Williams, thank you very much.
Yeah. Did that kind of hit home or kind of hit the nail on?
Yeah, it did, because that perspective change that you reflected, that it's not just what we do, it's what do we do for the residents, and not what we just do covenants, controls, and compliance, but what do we do to make it better? I mean, are we putting up basketball courts because there's compliance issues with people with basketball hoops in their driveway, but they still want to play? Those are the kind of things that resonate with me. So I think you've got an idea there. I appreciate it.
Thanks.
Any more questions for Dr. Williams? Okay, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
At this time, with all three candidates having had the opportunity to address the board and you all to ask questions, we'll entertain a motion or motions for appointment to fill the vacancy.
I'm going to take a first stab at it. Based upon, well, first, everyone should understand that this is an appointment. Its duration is until May of 2025, when the next election occurs. Then whoever this appointee is stands up in front of the community and asks for their votes. So from that standpoint, I don't think we could go wrong with any one of the three candidates. But I'd like to propose Dr. Williams as our appointment.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you very much. Are there any other nominations? for appointment?
Yes, I would. Thank you. I would like to nominate Marietta Curtis as a longtime resident who has a great long view of where the community began and where we can go to.
Thank you. Is there a second? Is there a second?
I'll second. So
Thank you. Are there any other nominations to fill the vacancy on the board? Are there any other nominations to fill the vacancy on the board? I have to say it 3 times. So are there any other nominations to fill the vacancy on the board? Thank you. We can close nominations. So at this time, you have the opportunity to vote. There have been 2 candidates that have been nominated for appointment. One is Mr. Williams. The second one is Ms. Curtis. So we will vote on Mr. Williams first. So I would ask for a voice vote. Anyone are in favor of Mr. Williams for appointment to the board? Please announce your name.
Yes, from Lewis Kennedy.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, from Cynthia Barkley.
Thank you.
yes, from Bruce.
Thank you. Any other votes? Okay. Second is for Miss Marietta Curtis.
Yes, from Khadijah Haynes.
Thank you, ma'am. Any other votes? All right.
Bye-bye.
I'm sorry.
I think it's another conversation.
We're going to mute that out. Okay, perfect. Mr. Williams, you have been nominated or appointed to the board. There is a procedure to follow now, and Sarah is with us. I believe Sarah emailed to you an oath of office. Did you receive that oath?
Yes, sir, I have it.
And, okay, so at this point, if you could sign it and either scan it or take a photo and email it to Sarah right now. We're gonna take a quick recess. And if you can get it back to Sarah, Sarah will tell us when she's received it. And then she was fine. So we're gonna take a recess of our,
Bruce, before you recess.
I'm sorry.
Before you recess, Sarah needs to administer the oath orally.
Oh, that's right. I
verbally
apologize, Sarah.
over
I'm
the-
stepping on you.
Yeah.
Sarah has it together.
Okay, Dr. Williams, I have your oath in front of me, so I will just have you repeat after me. I, Michael J. Williams, Jr., do affirm
I, Michael J. Williams, Jr., affirm
that I will support the Constitution of the United States, the Constitution of the State of Colorado, and the laws of the State of Colorado. We'll go, I couldn't. Support the Constitution of the United States,
support the Constitution of the United States,
Constitution of the State of Colorado,
Constitution of the State of Colorado,
and the laws of the State of Colorado,
the laws of the State of Colorado,
and will faithfully perform the duties of the office of director
and will faithfully perform the duties of director
of the Ebert Metropolitan District,
of the Ebert Metropolitan District,
upon which I'm about to enter,
from which I'm about to enter,
the best of my ability.
to the best of my ability.
Phenomenal. Welcome.
Thank you.
So now if you could, like Bruce was saying, if you could sign your oath and get that scanned and emailed to me.
Okay.
You can do it by phone with a picture, but it would be, if it's possible, it'd be best if it was by email.
Okay.
And just for reference again, I'll put my email address here. In the chat.
And Bruce, do you have the certificate of appointment?
Yeah, I sent that to Sarah last night. I
Okay.
signed it, sent it to her last night.
Perfect. Thank you.
Scanned it, signed it, scanned it, and emailed it to her last night.
Signed, sealed, delivered, all of it.
And she was gonna fill in the rest of it once she knew who the board member was. And Dr. Williams, while we're waiting, please put on your calendar, our next regular meeting, which would be on the website, is December 3rd at 7 PM. It will be virtual, but it's also our annual budget meeting. So it's really important that you have that on your calendar and that you can attend that.
Okay, I'll get it on my calendar and I'll be in attendance. All right, I'm gonna put this on my scanner now and give me 1 minute and get this back over to you.
So Mr. Mays and Ms. Curtis, as Bruce said before, this appointment is good through the next election, which will be held on May 6th. If you're interested in running for an open board seat, self-nomination forms will start to be accepted in January. And there'll be announcements sent out from the district regarding that. But thank you very much for throwing your hats in the ring. I'm sure it's appreciated by all.
Okay. Okay, I have this oath. Let me go grab that, sign it, and get it filed. I'll be right back.
Okay, thank you. Dr. Williams, you may have noticed that when the board members are addressing each other, we usually use first names. Are you okay with that?
Yes,
And
please.
do you prefer Mike or Michael?
Mike is fine.
Okay. I don't want to, I also agree. Getting your doctorate is a hell of an accomplishment. And, but I just wanted to make sure you were okay.
No, that's perfectly fine. I'm not that pretentious. It's the doctorate thing is very new, right? I just conferred in August, so it's new even putting it on my name. So Mike is keep it simple when we can, right? Life is already hard enough.
Years ago, I was a volunteer firefighter in southeastern Connecticut, and there was so much ribbing in the firehouse that I just wonder if the guys at the firehouse give you crap.
Standard protocol. That's just part of the game. They always give you some type of ripping you somehow. So it just comes with the game.
Of course, with me, it was because I was a lawyer, and so that was what they would give me crap about.
That's an occupational hazard, I think, right?
Right. Yeah.
Yes. That's part of the brotherhood, I thought.
Right.
Bruce, you can insist on being called doctor if you want.
Yeah, I know. My dad's been an EDD for, I don't know, 60 years, and he's never done that. He hates it when people call him Dr. Scheibels. So.
Okay. Hey, while we're talking, can I bring something to our attention? The terms that are up on our names, there's a single asterisk at Catherine Haynes and on this vacancy. And the single asterisk says that this term, or in this case would be these terms, will be 2-year terms on the May 2025 election. And I hope that's not true, because that then would mean that we would have 4 out of 5 coming up for election.
Well, let me tell you, my records show that Leslie's position was a term to end in 2027. So that meant that that seat needed to be a 2-year term at the 2025 election to run to the remaining, to fill the remaining term.
So how do we avoid this overload of change in terms of at May 2025? It looks like there's going to be 4 out of 5
There will
up
be
for
4,
election.
but only 3 people, 3 seats are a 4-year term.
Oh,
and 1 seat
okay.
is a 2-year term.
Right.
So it,
Yeah, mine would be a 4-year term.
correct.
Okay. Well, that helps, because I just didn't want to, you
And
know,
if
have that
Cynthia's
continue into
still
the future.
here in the district, hers would be a 4-year term if she chooses to run again.
Yep.
Or
That's exactly right.
All right. Very good. Thank you. I'll sleep better tonight.
Okay. The Dr. Williams, your oath has been sent to the Denver County Clerk and Recorder, Bruce Hart. You've been copied on that. You are a duly seated board member. Welcome again. And actually, I have a board member manual that's put together by the Special District Association. I don't know if you're familiar with that through South Metro, but I'll get you a copy of that manual.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Thanks, Sarah.
Okay.
Bruce, are you okay? We can move forward with the next item.
Yeah.
And that's item number 6 on your agenda. It's to review and consider selection of a new district manager for the combined districts. There was a memo in your board packet from Mr. Schmidt regarding that.
Right. Did that go out as just as a separate document, or did a revised board packet get sent out?
It went out as a separate item.
Right. Okay. All right. I'm thinking that we need to have a motion and then we can start the discussion. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. If the subcommittee or if the committee has made a recommendation to the board, that would.
Yeah, the task force has, yes.
I'm sorry.
So I'm going to move it. It's a long motion, so I will say it slowly. I move that we approve the selection of Goodwin as the district manager for first Town Center and eventually Ebert. That comes about as the result of the joint Town Center Metro District / Ebert Metro District RFP process to serve as the district manager initially for Town Center Metro District and eventually as the Ebert Metro District once the transition process is complete. Also commence on December 1st, 2023, and to authorize Bruce Scheibels, president of Ebert Metro District, to execute any contract with Goodwin on behalf of Ebert Metro District upon approval by Ebert Metro District's legal counsel to effectuate this appointment of district manager.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you, sir. Discussion.
And then I want to start out with just an overall discussion. And some of it comes from the memo that you folks have received, but I want to give it also to give the broader, for the folks who are attending tonight's meeting. Some of them know, because at least within Fairway Villas, they, at least at the community meeting, they know that Goodwin was the selecting. we went through an RFP process that was jointly run by both Town Center Metro District and Ebert Metro District. The genesis was nobody had been happy with the district management that had been going on by Town Center's district manager. As broad brush, for years, Ebert has been the taxing district and Town Center had been the operational district. Ebert had been sending 17 mills to Town Center to do the operational, do all the operations, take care of the open spaces and also do covenant enforcement. Westwind had been contracted by Timberline, which was the Town Center's district manager. Long story short, nobody been happy with the way the district had been managed. And during this past year, both in part, the catalyst was litigation, and in part, it was other stuff. The long and the short of it is we've now embarked on this consolidation process, and part of this that's resulted in this transition process. And as part of the transition process, we've had this task force that's involved 2 and 3, and actually 3 members, because I'm now working full time again. Lewis and Khadijah took the brunt of the work in terms of interviewing the finalists that the transition task force, came out. We had 7 companies that responded to the RFP process. And of the 7 companies that responded, the task force narrowed it to 3 companies. Those 3 companies were CLA, Goodwin, and Lewis or Khadijah, help me with the third, Public Alliance. That's who it was.
Public, yeah, that's right.
And what came down to it was Goodwin came out, basically had on everything. They had technological superiority. They have in-house accounting capabilities. They have community management. They already manage 6 metro districts in Colorado. They have, and they've done a tremendous job as the sub-district manager for sub-districts 1 and 4, the Ferry Villas component part of Ebert. And the best part was they were the best money-wise. The other 2 folks, one of them didn't have the ability to do accounting. So I guess long story short, they were the best option overall. And in the long run, they're going to save us money. Now, when we get to the budget, some have already heard we're going to have a mill increase this year. Part of that is going to be because of past, as someone said, deferred mismanagement. And that, I thought that was a great comment that someone at the Ebert's Financial Operations Committee meeting came up with the other night. But there's been some deferred mismanagement and deferred maintenance problems with our irrigation system stuff, and we just can't let it go anymore. So that's one reason but even with the mill increase, I've been told it's actually only going to increase, and I say only, but it's only going to increase the tax bill for the Ebert component of our tax bill. And remember, Denver adds to our tax bill and the school system adds to our tax bill, but the Ebert component of it it's only going to add maybe 40 or 50 bucks to our tax bill for 2025, but which I'm willing to live with, but we can talk about that later at our budget meeting. But anyway, that's what's happening with that's the long and the short. That's why, and in retrospect, And going forward, we think we're going to be saving a lot of money by having Goodwin as our new district manager. They've also agreed that for 2025, they're going to work cooperatively with Kurt. So Kurt will still be Ebert's also district manager next year. And it's not going to add to that won't add to the mill rate issue. They're going to work cooperatively because the transition process still involves a lot. Next year, it's going to involve one or two elections in addition to our election for new board members next May. And the contract that's being negotiated is going to use the existing base contract that we have with Special District Solutions. So that base legal language and a lot of the bullet points that we have in that Evan had already approved, a couple of years ago when we, negotiated our initial contract with Kurt. That's being used as the base for the contract for Goodwin. So with that, that's the reason that why I made the motion, and that's the reason that I'm going to be supporting this motion and supporting the decision that has been arrived at by the task force.
Any questions or further discussion from the directors?
I have several.
Yes, ma'am.
So under the comprehensive management plan, it says Goodwin will open a district office. Are we paying for that? Is that included in their bid? Where will that be?
That's going to be in the budget, and we think it's going to cost as part of it's going to be a line item in the budget. It's going to be about $35,000. We think it's more important to have it be Ebert's responsibility as part of our budget, only because when we change at some point in the future, district managers, we want to have the space to be able to put a new district manager into, but it's only going to be basically, we think, at $35,000 a year. It's only like a 500 square foot office space to have, a place where residents of the district know where they can go to see the district manager.
And this is going to be set up within that 35,000. You're going to do the desks, the computers, several spots, because it looks like she's going to have employees.
No, the district manager will bring their equipment to the space. The 35,000 is just for the rental of the space.
Okay.
The flat fee there, and Bill can maybe answer this, Bill Schmidt, but I'm pretty sure that all of the equipment the district manager is bringing in, it's included in their overhead and their flat fee, I believe.
Okay, so with the 500 feet for the office, why are we paying for the whole thing? Why aren't they paying us rent? So you'd still have the office, they pay the rent because they're using it as part of their agreement. I don't understand why we're paying for it. Why are they paying? No, they're not paying anything.
I'll take a stab at that.
Okay.
In the negotiations, their proposal did not include any on-site presence. And as we went forward, it became a consensus that an on-site presence would work better. And we used the sub-district presence that we saw with Goodwin and the improvement that it had. And this is then opening that same accessibility to the rest of the community outside of Fairway Villas. And it's not a permanent, decision. We can, if after a year it turns out nobody's visiting the office or the office isn't bringing any additional value, we can terminate that. We can stop that. But at this point, it was felt that it was an add to the management.
So it's going to be off-site from the Fairway Villas building, lodge, or
Correct.
are committed.
Correct.
So all residents can have access to it.
Correct.
Correct. That's
Okay.
the idea.
And then you'll monitor that to see how that is working, whether we
Right.
keep it or we don't keep it, right?
That's right.
So, and then it mentions about Sabrina Lopez staying on as the district manager. Do we have a contract with her specifically? Because, and the reason I'm asking, and Bill wrote something about the YMCA and the incredible mistakes or assumptions we thought what we were getting, we didn't. So if she's the person, just as Gina Blackwell, and I don't know exactly the extension on that, Bill, maybe you can answer that. Do we have a contract to keep her for the year of the transition or for the contract of the district manager? Is she gonna leave, or is we gonna get new people, or how is this? To me, it's like we're trying the best to keep the people in place, but maybe that's not what I understand. Whereas, you know, the why episode.
Is your question what happens to Fairway Villas and the current sub-district manager?
No, I'm wondering if you're doing Goodwin and she's gonna be the district manager, do we have a guarantee she will be the district manager throughout the life of the contract? Or she can be substituted, because it seems like you're really pushing her as an individual. And remember, with the why, we thought we were getting certain people, and then unbeknownst to us, it didn't work out that way. So you seem to be very fond of her ways and her communication within the district so far. So that's all. I'm just asking, do we do that, or that's within the Goodwin contract?
Well, the response from Goodwin was that it's going to be a 1-year contract. They set the fees, they set the rates, they set, we worked through the scope of work, and they proposed Sabrina as the district manager. So our contract is with Goodwin, and we have no guarantees that Sabrina will stick around. She could leave on her own if she wanted to. But this is the kind of job she's been wanting for a number of years, so I don't see that happening. But I don't know how we can reassure you that she will be definitely here for an entire year, because it's up to Goodwin to supply an adequate person.
And Cynthia, all I can say is that as part of the interview process, I met not with Sabrina, because I know Sabrina, but I met with Sabrina's boss and Sabrina's boss's boss. And they both said that they've talked to Sabrina, and Sabrina wants to be the district manager of Ebert. I learned that Ebert, when it becomes the operational district, will be the largest operational special district in Colorado, which sort of blew my mind. Our largest operational metro district, residential metro district in Colorado, which I didn't know. And that's something that both Sabrina's boss, Sharon, and Sharon's boss, Aaron, said is something Sabrina's wanted to be doing for years. So,
okay. So my other question too is, when we had the why, not to keep going back there, but we expected, we thought we were getting similar people, and you write a whole thing on how the residents are so happy with the person that's running the clubhouse. I think it's Gina. And if we don't get Gina, how unhappy is anybody going to be if they don't like?
We have a separate contract with Goodwin for the Fairway Villas, and it's not something that Ebert is considering tonight.
Okay. Okay, and then it says also the district manager will be on site or in the community for most of the 40-hour work week to oversee vendor management. So I read somewhere it's like 9 to 5. Is that all the vendors work only from 9 to 5?
The 9 to 5 is when the district manager will be here primarily, and that's when they'll be checking on the vendors.
And then they're going to choose such as replace Westwood possibly, or even continue with Westwood.
No, they're not continuing with Westwind. We know that.
Okay, well, I didn't know that. So, but that'll be one of their vendors, right? That they have to supply to.
No, no.
Oh,
Goodwin is gonna have their own community manager.
okay, that's gonna take care of all the accounting and the other things that we
They're
see.
gonna have their own accounting group. They're
Yeah,
gonna have their own community management group. This is
so,
all one package with Goodwin.
okay, so maybe this is not correct either, so just stop me, Bill, so my concern is with the covenants, it's always been with the covenants, so you don't really get too much control in the covenants from 9 to 5. We need some other language in the contract that says whoever they choose.
Well, beginning in January 2025, Ebert is managing the district manager, so you can determine how you want that handled.
Yeah, one thing, Cynthia, we're gonna have to do that we've never done, because we've never been the operational district.
Right.
We're gonna have to come up and we'll need Evan's help on that. We're gonna have to come up with our own enforcement policy, because we've never had our own covenant enforcement policy. So we're gonna have to, that's gonna have to be a big thing that we're gonna have to come up with.
That's kind of important.
Yep.
To me, it's very important, so, okay, well, I know, I see Sabrina on, I don't know if she's gonna talk or she's just there listening.
He's probably gonna wait till we do the vote.
Okay. Well, I don't have enough information. I mean, I've looked over this. I don't know if they're the best. And again, it bothers me with some of the other parts of it because we've been burned before. So, go ahead.
There was one thing in the document that you read, Bruce. You read 2023, but I think the year that you're talking about is 2024. Al Morey had that in the chat.
Oh,
That
you're
should
right. I'm
be-
sorry. You're right.
So that needs to be revised
12,
to
yeah,
reflect
and then-
2024.
I need to amend my motion to make it 12/1/2024. I apologize.
And Bruce, I already caught that, so I've got that in the motion language.
Okay,
Great.
Scrivener error.
Any other discussion regarding the motion that's on the floor? Hearing none, would you like to hear from Ms. Lopez?
Yeah, we allow, once a motion is done, we allow for that. Sabrina, do you want to say anything? She's still here?
Hi, yes, I'm here. I really didn't have anything planned. I kind of was just a fly on the wall this evening. But yes, hi. How's everybody doing tonight?
Doing well.
Good, good. So I am excited to join you all on this end of district management. I'm sorry, I wasn't prepared for this. But definitely excited to jump in and see what we can do to move this district forward in a good forward motion. Currently sub-district manager for Fairway Villas. I've been there for just over a year. And I think the amount of changes in the right direction is proven to show what Goodwin can do. Not only myself, but of course Goodwin behind me. We have a full support staff and team that will help out as well. So this isn't just me running the district. This is me and my entire Goodwin community behind me. I also have learned quite a lot about the district just through sub-district management and got to meet a lot of the people there in the community as well. And I look forward to working with you all. Certainly open for any questions if you have any.
I'm not going to hold you to it, but you heard Cynthia worried about you suddenly getting up and going to greener pastures.
You bet. Yes. This is kind of the path I've been going towards. I just obtained my PCAM, which is the Professional Community Association Management designation. It is the highest designation a community manager can get or earn. It is a fairly lengthy, I compare it to kind of that doctorate degree, just as much as we're doing here in our industry, and the knowledge that I have to have in order to complete that designation and obtain that. Should show hopefully what I am capable of doing for the community on a district level and a community-wide level. I am very good at building those relationships with both the homeowners and the boards, and just implementing suggestions, recommendations, and comments that the community has. At the end of the day, this is your community, and I'm here to take your suggestions and push those forward as much as I can to ensure that we make this community better. Yeah, you can count on me. I will be here for a year, and if longer, if you all allow me to.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
Any other questions for me?
I do have one quick question, and it has to do with what I asked Dr. Williams about engaging the larger community and where the issues are out there. Based upon your year experience that you've had within sub-district, what's your perception in terms of what are the issues that face this larger community?
Sure. So I think number one issue is communication. There's not a ton of that coming out from the district side, and I don't know where that lies, but there's certainly some lapse in communication. And that is not from my end. It's just what I'm hearing as well from the homeowners. They don't know what the district is. They don't know what the entities are. I think we heard that homeowner at the beginning of the meeting, and that's kind of the common comment I receive is who's Westwind, what do they do for me? Who's Town Center, what do they do for me? Who's Eber, and what do they do for me? What are they providing? So I think communication certainly needs to be upgraded on our end with communication. We have Town Square, which is a great avenue for us to be able to push information out to our homeowners. We try to keep you informed as to what's happening throughout the community on top of meetings and emergencies or things that may arise that we need to inform the community of. And so I think that's top and forefront communication. Second would have to be landscaping and the way that the district common areas are kept or unkept. There was my first thought when I was driving into the community on day one of managing this sub-association, what's going on with the landscaping. That was the first thing that hit me. And as we all know, that is the aesthetic that people see as they pull into the community. That's the first thing that usually hits them in the eye. And I thought to myself, who's doing this and why isn't it better maintained? What's going on with the native spaces, the trees, the weeds, the rock beds, and all of the things that I felt like could have had better viewing or better service added to it. So my thought was, who is managing those vendors and ensuring that we're getting the bang for our buck? All of you guys pay into this community, and I think we all have a thought of what it should look like and how it should be run. So I certainly think that landscaping is probably on the next side of that. And other than that, I think it's just bringing that community together, making sure that we do some events that bring everybody together, get to know your neighbors type of things, and just try to make it a better community altogether.
Okay, great. Thank you so much.
You bet. Anything else for me?
Yes,
Well, you
Sabrina,
have
I
a
just want to say to you that in the interview, since I am not in Fairway Village, I've not had an opportunity to do any work with you, but the interview with Goodwin was absolutely stellar. I am very encouraged and looking forward to enjoying all of the great things that I think Goodwin has provided in that small area in our community out and into the rest of the community. And I feel really confident having seen all of the divisions in your organization and how they will work to look across the board into the entirety of the Heber district. So I am really looking forward to this transition.
Thank you. All right, any other questions on my end? I think I might throw in one more thing. As we transition, there are lots of things we're looking at when we move from developer control to homeowner control. And I'm looking at those things along with you guys. I'm trying to push the agenda to make sure that those things are taken care of before we move forward as well. So hopefully there's some progress on that end as well. All right, Cynthia, did you have something?
No.
There's a question in the chat.
Oh, yes.
Can you see it?
Yep, when a covenant violation gets to the point that legal action is necessary, does Goodwin have capability to handle that in-house as well? So as far as the covenant violation goes, yes, we can handle each sequence of the violation until the point that we're turning it over to the attorney for further action as required in your governing documents.
I just thought of my question. How many more websites do we need to put up there for people to go to? You've got your website, you've got TCMD, all the documents are there. I don't understand these questions where people are lost and what they want to know. I don't understand any of that. We have revised our own Ebert website. I mean, all the documentation is there, and you contact the liaison. Bill's around, Bill answers questions. I mean, it's not, why do these people not know anything? I don't know.
That's a good question. I do think that sorry, go ahead.
No, well, I was just gonna say, and you send out, you have your own town square. And so if people, how are you gonna drive people to those websites? You can do meet and greets. Okay, that's great, because they should get to know people if they want to know them in person. But what's that gonna do anything if you don't have, I don't know, a flyer with everything written down on it? Don't you get all that information when you sign up and buy your house? And
Sure.
you send out regular, I mean, not you personally, but Town Square comes out twice a week, every Friday. I mean, that, and why aren't these people going to the websites where all that information is?
Yeah, so I think we've done a good job of changing that perception on the Fairway Villas side by pushing that information out via Town Square, but the overall district is not receiving any of that information because it is exclusive sometimes to Fairway Villas. So I think once we move into Town Square district wide, those same email push outs can come on our end to the overall district, which is providing additional communication to them. While they do receive the information at closing, I think we all know that that's a pretty big stack of information, and lots of people probably are not reading fully through those. And so it'd be a good idea to implement maybe a once a year overview of how the district works and what that means to live in a district. I think most people don't understand exactly what living in a district means. They tend to think we're an HOA. And so I think differentiating between those two in an annual public forum would be a good way to kind of combat those who are saying they don't know who we are and what we do. Why that's the case, other than them not reading and fully understanding the documents, I don't really know, because there is plenty of these meetings that I think homeowners can show up to and kind of learn what the district does and what each entity does in this district. But as we look at the membership here, it is not a lot of homeowners that are joining us here. So I think they miss the mark when it comes to what do we do, because they're not joining this meeting. But maybe if it's a push out of a Town Square reminder that we're having this meeting and here's what we're discussing in a little bit more simplicity than maybe just pushing out the agenda, that could help people get there. And it could also be, come in, we'll serve pizza and we'll talk about what it is we do here. And it's not just a board meeting where people don't tend to come to, but more of a social gathering where we can then really fully explain what it is that each of these entities do, or at that point, just what the one entity does.
Okay, I just have one more quick question. Bruce, he's looking at me. There was some discussion about going back live, meeting. We just can't find a meeting place large enough, right? That's the biggest problem that we have, to have a meet and greet, just so those on the board. And you brought up a good point too, Louis, just that we have so many people in the district and we have 20 people on the on this particular meeting, but maybe because it's a special meeting. So when are we gonna go live, Bruce, and be in a situation where we can meet with people? That might help also, rather than have a separate meet and greet kind of a thing.
Well, I know once the transition happens, we probably can do live meetings at the clubhouse because we'll own the clubhouse, but
Okay,
until then, I mean, I've been told we could possibly do it now. Town center will give us permission to use the clubhouse, but I haven't, we haven't decided whether we could do that for, say, the budget meeting in December.
okay.
I still want to do them at night only because I'm working full time, but
Yeah, I think we should keep them at the nighttime and the 7 o'clock. I don't know why this was at 7:30. I must have missed a memo on that one.
it was because Khadijah had a,
Oh,
couldn't get
okay,
here until 7:30.
okay. Good enough.
Yeah, there's also nearby libraries, recreation centers, things like that that might have.
We've
bigger
looked at that. They
clubhouse
all
space.
close at like 6.
Got
No,
it. Okay.
we've been around the block with that. It used to be at the rec center. I don't know why they won't let us back in.
Worth a try
Okay.
to see where that is.
Okay.
Yeah,
Good idea. Thank you.
you bet. Thank you. There's quite a few questions here as well. Let me see if I can see if there's anything I need to specifically answer. Idea is to move to a single website. We'll have town center, but there will be a website option to roll us into our website. So yes, I would like to continue to have the district website. If that's Ebert's, great. They do use, I believe, Streamline, which is a fantastic company to help ensure that that compliance is in place.
Thank you, Kurt.
Timberland going to cooperate with handing over district records. Yes, it's a requirement of them to ensure that they're handing off those records appropriately. Of course, I will be elemental in making sure that we get the information we need. MSI Westwood, good data has been lost. The idea is that this transition, we don't lose any resident data. We will be using the same covenant enforcement system that the prior entity is using. We're hoping to just be able to seamlessly roll that over and not have any hiccups in that enforcement and where it's at. We don't want to have to start all over, which is the typical process when you're changing management companies. You're typically starting over at square one on violations. Our intent is to try to gather that data and jump in where we're currently at and take that on.
Sabrina, if I could just interject for a second. One of the things that's been missed routinely in the past are maintenance records. The new maintenance crew comes in, such as you guys did for sub-district, and you start asking questions. Well, when was the last pump replaced in the pool? Or when was the last well replaced in a well that's part of the assets of the district? And those are the kind of things that really have hard costs to them, in the sense that to redo that work is all professional time. And so we need to make sure we have some access to their records so that we don't have to reinvent what's already ours, which is what's the status of what we own.
Sure. So hopefully the district does have those types of records to hand over to us, and then we can put that into our database to ensure that we have that knowledge.
Okay,
That would
great,
be our
thanks.
intent. You bet. See if there's any other questions I can answer here. Okay, I think there's a response on just coming to the meetings and the time constraint for the 3 districts. I think the idea is to consolidate this so we are going into one meeting. There may still be Fairway Villa community meetings happening, but as far as the district go, I think the intent is to consolidate the entities and just have that one district meeting.
Right.
And then responses from the districts aren't happening. I apologize about that, but we hope to change that once this moves forward on our end.
Okay, thank you very much.
You bet. Thank you.
There is a motion on the floor. Is there any other discussion from the directors? Hearing none, we'll call the question. All in favor, please say aye or raise your hand so that I can see who votes in favor.
Aye.
Is anyone opposed?
Aye.
So the motion passes 4 in favor, 1 opposed. As soon as the contract is finalized, we'll get it routed for signatures and we'll take it from there. Thank you very much. That is the last of new business for now. Next item on the agenda is an executive session. And so, Bruce, if you're all right to make that motion.
Yes, I move that we go into an executive session for purpose of receiving legal advice on specific legal questions concerning the transition of tax revenue and budgeting control from Town Center Metro District to Ebert Metropolitan District, the acquisition of property, and determining positions subject to negotiations, developing strategy for negotiations, and instructing negotiators concerning said transition per section 24-6-402, paren 4, close paren A, close paren B, close paren, and paren E, close paren capital I, close paren, Colorado Revised Statutes.
Thank you, sir. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second.
All right, it's been moved and seconded. All in favor of going into executive session, please say aye.
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 All right, thank you very much. We'll stop the recording and we are going, for everybody else on the call, we're going to go into a breakout room. You're more than welcome to stay on until the executive session is complete. Once we're done, we'll come back into the general session. And if there's any other business to conduct, we'll do it at that time. Okay, it looks like we have everyone.
Oh yeah, is everybody back?
Yes, sir. Recording is on and we are back in general session at 10:28.
We've had a discussion with our attorney, and we're ready to go on to discuss a couple of the thing. I do have to make in the agenda item, there are the 2 resolutions. There's also other matters that may come before the board. There is actually a 3rd resolution that was part of the board packet that should have been it was a resolution authorizing execution of the consolidation agreement regarding consolidation of Ebert Metropolitan District and Town Center Metropolitan District, as well as a resolution that is a consolidation resolution that authorizes Ebert to file with the court, authorizing a consolidation election next February or March. And that will go under the item under the agenda, any other items that could come before the board. I will tell you that the board is going to be voting on the resolution, the consolidation agreement. But in order to further protect the residents of the district with regard to contingencies, we're going to be adding some contingencies under subsection, I guess it's subsection E, completion of unfinished improvement projects, one of which is the certain of the deferred maintenance in terms of irrigation and the irrigation system within the district that has caused us some issues with regard to what we're going to have to put in the budget in 2025, as well as remediation of the sewer intercept project the easement that was negotiated between Town Center and the city of Aurora was woefully inadequate. Basically, Town Center did not require Aurora to remediate that sewer intercept project from basically, is it what? Basically, it goes along the south side of the golf course and then crosses Dunkirk and then continues on over to 56. People know what we're talking about, the general area, and didn't require Aurora to put the property back into a aesthetic condition. So we're going to make that a contingency of the consolidation process. Town Center is going to have to come up with a way to make that look aesthetic because it looks like crap now, and they got a ton of money from Aurora, and they use the Joint Landscape Committee, I guess, found out maybe even this morning that it was not, that a lot of that money got used in Ebert for some reason. I don't know why that money wasn't used within Ebert, and we already know from past experience that the money wasn't used. They asked for money on, other monies. It should have been used in the golf course and not, in other spots. But anyway, we're adding some additional contingencies to protect Ebert as part of the consolidation process to the consolidation agreement, and also the pre-consolidation agreement. We're gonna ask, Clayton to be part of this process, because as we've described in past discussions, in discussing the transition process with the community at some of these meetings, Clayton is the one that wants to have Town Center get out of the business of running the Ebert or running the operations within Ebert. And so we want Clayton to be, holding the bag as well and be part of this. So we're going to have two different, a pre-consolidation and a consolidation agreement that we're going to be voting on as well. So with that, I'm going to make a motion that we approve the resolution authorizing execution of the consolidation agreement regarding the consolidation of Ebert and Town Center, and that will also include approving the execution of the pre-consolidation agreement with the addition of the additional contingencies, and also approval of the consolidation resolution that will authorize a consolidation election next February or March, consistent with Colorado law on conducting an election for consolidation.
Is there a second? Is there a second?
I will second you, Bruce.
Thank you. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. We can do a roll call or show of hands. How about if we do a roll call? Director Scheibels?
Aye.
Director Kennedy?
Yes.
Director Barclay?
She's muted.
You're muted, Cynthia.
To me, there's too many unknown things.
Is your vote no?
Yes.
Okay.
No.
Yeah. Yes, ma'am. I've got it. It's no. Director Haynes?
It's getting too late.
Yes.
And Director Williams?
No.
The motion passes 3-2. So Bruce, that covers the both resolutions and the agreements, correct?
Yes.
Okay, great. Any other matters for the board to consider?
No, there is a second resolution that you need to vote on, which is the actual consolidation resolution itself.
Now, my motion was for
Wants
both.
to do that.
Okay. I mean, I thought, well, okay. The way it's set up, you have two resolutions. One, but you're approving both resolutions in one fell swoop. That's what you've done.
Yes,
Yes, sir.
what my motion was. Yes.
Yes, sir.
All right, got it.
Any other business for the board?
Now I move we adjourn. We've gone too late.
Okay, it's been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Outstanding. Thank you. We will stand adjourned at 10:36.
Unless we have a special election, the next meeting is on December 3rd, 2024. That will also be our annual budget meeting. And so we will have to have that also publicly noticed, probably in your hub.
Yes, sir. It will be. I'll work that out with CLA. We'll make sure it's published as required.
And I don't know that we'll have to have an amendment to this year's budget. I don't believe so.
I don't believe so from what I've seen, but I'll verify with Alyssa. And
Okay.
what we'll do is we'll publish for a possible amendment and for the review and approval of the 2025 budget, just in case.
Okay.
All right then.
Thank you, everybody.
Night.
Good night.
Thank you all.
Thank you.